So we are talking about the pilot episode of the new sci-fi series Van Helsing. No, this isn't an adaptation of the Hugh Jackman movie. This is actually a future set period where there's basically the vampires have taken over the world, and it's set a few years in the future. And the story focuses on a group of survivors as they are trying to escape the vampire menace that seems to have wiped out nearly all of humanity. And it's like I said, it focuses on this group of survivors that are held up in this particular kind of facility, and they are protecting this woman who is unconscious. I don't really know why she's there, and after a vampire attack she awakes, and we discover that she is the descendant of Van Helsing and has special abilities. So that's pretty much the plot of your pilot episode here. So what did I like and didn't like about this episode? I will go for the negatives first. First of all, the actual Van Helsing character, bland. Bland. You didn't get any sense of character with her. The actress that plays her injects no real kind of character into the performance. I felt it was very wooden. In her defence, she actually isn't introduced really until halfway through the actual pilot, which I felt was a mistake as well. So she doesn't get a whole lot of time, but what she does have I didn't feel was particularly strong. The actual world that it's set in all looks very cheap. The set design looks very cheap. You know, this is going to be a world that's kind of completely run down, but the floors are all polished, things like that. It's a little bit stupid in places, and the rest of the kind of the cast, with the exception of, I would say, what appears to be the main male lead, are all very much just humdrum, typical kind of like stock sci-fi characters that you have on these TV shows and kind of the movies that they put out. I didn't like the vampires. The vampires are portrayed as kind of like feral creatures, but they really over-exaggerate the kind of when they're talking with the fangs and stuff like that. And I hate when vampires do that, or vampire portrays, you know, films and stuff like that, so that they really make a point of check my fangs out when I talk. Stupid. So I didn't like that. So the actual story itself, with the exception of one thing, was all pretty much just very, very rushed. And didn't really get the sense of any kind of characterization, with the exception of this one sort of marine guy, which I will now kind of go into the positives. I quite liked his character. He did seem to be have the best kind of most earnest performance. And there's a scene, for example, where he has a shower, and there's so little sort of water and stuff, they have to share showers. But I like the kind of the nonchalant way that he played it, very much like, oh, there's a woman in here, but it's just the way it is. So I quite liked that. I quite liked him. And the other main thing about this positive side of things, there's a stinger that happens at the end of this kind of episode. There's a hook, a twist, shall we say. And I thought, oh, now that is interesting. That I didn't like the writing up until that point. I felt it was very kind of just typical mundane, boring shit that you see churned out. But it did end with quite a good thing. Oh, that's actually quite a good reason to check out the next episode, so to speak. So I quite liked that aspect of it. I won't say what it is, but there's a kind of, like I said, there's a little bit of a interesting situation that happens at the end of the episode. But overall, I've got to say, I felt it pretty mundane. It's fairly gory and fairly adult orientated, but at the same time, it has a kind of very juvenile feel to it. And when you've watched stuff like, I feel now that people are watching things like Game of Thrones, you know, Breaking Bad, Stranger Things, these more sophisticated programs, that when you watch something like this, it really kind of feels just a bit crappy, unfortunately. So I will give this pilot episode a 4 out of 10. I doubt I will check any more out. The end kind of twist did leave me somewhat intrigued, but overall I don't think I'll bother watching it. Anyway, did you see it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.